MJF has been removed from the AEW roster page. An AEW champion is unhappy with their booking, and a WWE star has switched brands again. So the hot topic right now is, of course, MJF following his work shoot promo on Dynamite, calling out Tony Khan, saying a naughty word. He called him a flipping mark, Sam. Would you believe it? Everybody's talking about it. You know what's going on there. But a few little updates here to the MJF story that sort of play into the work shoot feel of the whole thing. First of all, MJF has been removed from the company's roster page on the AEW website. We've seen them do this sort of stuff before. Various promotions have done this sort of stuff before. When they do something like this, it's a fairly typical step to take.
Yeah, it's like something for the fans to be like, delicious,
it's quite fun.
delicious.
It's quite fun. It makes total sense as well. Yeah. On top of that, his merchandise has been pulled from shopaew.com. If you try and navigate to that page, you get a 404 error. The sexiest.
Delicious.
Yeah. And also, an interesting one on our side of things as well, because we get photos from the AEW shows after they happen. It's like a press kit sort of thing. No images of MJF in there. They're really leaning into it. And it's great stuff. Whatever your opinion on this is with regard to how much of it is a work, how much of it is a shoot, the one thing that I think is clear is that people are universally entertained by this. And really, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's quite an alien feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. It's really, really good. And it couldn't, I almost said it couldn't happen to a nicer bloke. It couldn't happen to a more appropriate character. MJF is the perfect guy for this.
A very dedicated performer as well, as we know. Like, it's, MJF is going to sink his teeth into anything. He's shown it time and time again, sink his teeth into anything in front of him, no matter what it is, and run with it and get absolutely every last drop out of it. So we're just getting started, and it's this dramatic. Like, how bad is this going to get?
It's great, isn't it? And you know what? There was a real moment of truth in his promo where
was it the flipping marks comment?
Yeah, Tony, you are a flipping. No, when he was saying like I don't know if he said I'm the only guy, but he said I'm the guy who makes you feel. Whenever I'm on screen, he said this. I make you feel, and you're right. Whether you genuinely get angry with MJF, whether you find him a tremendously entertaining heel, he's spot on in that. That's the thing. Like, his character, it's not even that he just like he lives the character and all that. It's a really nailed down character, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of people on the roster on AEW where it's just like, okay, so that's their gimmick and whatever. MJF is just such a clearly defined character.
He's MJF through and through. No matter what rapper MJF comes in, if there's like a gimmick change at any point, it's still going to be MJF.
Yeah, and I like it. The commitment to the act is sensational, and that's why this is way more interesting. But what was the backstage reaction to MJF? Well, according to a report from Fightful Select, a variety of reactions, with responses ranging from "it's always been a work on MJF's side" to "well, it's definitely a work now." They're unsure as well. Essentially, they don't know. I hope
those sources were just Tony Khan out two sides of his mouth. Like, oh, well, it's been a work. Well, I don't know that.
So they're not quite sure. But one interesting sentiment was from one talent in particular. We don't know who this is, right? But this is a wrestler backstage, AEW, who said that they would be frustrated for many reasons if they learned that the situation had been a work over the weekend. One of the reasons for that is that other talent scheduled for the meet and greet time slot subsequently had to stay longer to make it up to fans who were forced to select a different line because MJF wasn't there. Good.
He's somebody where he came out at the pay-per-view the weekend, and I was sat there, and it just popped into my head. I don't think I've felt, and the key word there is felt, like this much something, whether it's anger or like you kind of laughing along with what he's doing. Like, since Regal, when I was a kid, and I just hated William Regal.
That's cool.
Hated him. And so I'm super excited about all of this. And as I said, we're just getting started. So
getting worked is fun.
Yeah, that's part. It's why I arrive to watch it.
Isn't that the point of wrestling? You emotionally invest in something.
This world,
and it's a lot more difficult to do now because wrestling fans are smart.
Yeah, and the business has kind of been opened, and it's sort of like a butcher shop window now.
So when they get us, It's great.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
It does remind you of being a kid again. Chris Jericho has seemingly commented on the MJF situation as well. He tweeted yesterday, for the record, AEW is the best sports entertainment company I've ever worked for, and Tony Khan is the best boss I've done business with. If certain talents feel they're undercompensated, maybe you're not as good as you think you are. Go elsewhere, please. You'll be begging to come back. So he's playing into the whole situation, obviously. Bit tongue-in-cheek there. Interestingly, AEW retweeting Jericho's message there.
I do think Vince would have a throne made of solid gold cash waiting for MJF, so I don't know about the you'll not have as much fun there side of it.
He's too short. He is. He'd be lost. Land of the Giants. No. He'd be grand, but they would have to water down the character a little bit, I would suggest. I don't think he's going anywhere.
No.
So, yeah, this is an interesting. I can see Tony Khan logging on his Twitter mobile app and being like, oh, somebody said something nice about me, give that a little retweet. Oh, that was meant to be on my personal. Next up, an interesting one from, this was an exclusive from What Culture. An AEW champion unhappy with their booking. And this is Thunder Rosa. She is apparently unhappy with her lack of TV time. Unnamed sources close to the situation state that the reigning AEW Women's World Champion has become very frustrated with how little she has been on screen. This was exacerbated, I love that word, the only reason I know what that word means is Shaun of the Dead. Exacerbated by Wednesday's episode of Dynamite, on which Thunder Rosa received no focus despite her well-received match with Serena Deeb at Double or Nothing. So, yeah, we didn't really see anything about this. And you know what? I can totally understand her frustration here. I think one thing that perhaps AEW get away with a little too much is their women's division, which has been lackluster at various points of its history. And Thunder Rosa, I thought it was a really big title win. And then, great match at the pay-per-view as well.
Fantastic.
And then on TV... It's like they don't do enough with it.
Disconnect, isn't there? And it did feel a bit strange. You know, you should have really every retaining champion get at least something on the follow-up show, because it's
there might be a reason for that, which we'll get to in a second. But they could have covered this in different ways. So it was put to What Culture. The Dynamite made it feel like the Deeb match just didn't happen at all because of the lack of talk about it and everything. There is a reason that she wasn't at Dynamite. As you say, this could have easily been cleared just with an acknowledgement of what happened.
Yeah.
So she wasn't there. She was sent home by a doctor. We don't know how serious this is, but according to a report from PW Insider, Rosa was reportedly in LA at the taping, but wasn't feeling good, so they sent her home.
Right.
But there's something that they could have done there. You need to acknowledge that at least.
They we quite often see the recap being used quite well, and I thought at least we would have seen something along those lines with a bit of a Tony voiceover over some recap of the footage of the match. And,
it's a world championship, isn't it?
That's it. It deserves that level of respect, right?
Yeah.
Just a couple of minutes on the show at least.
PW Insider noting that she didn't suffer an injury at Double or Nothing, so hopefully she's just feeling poorly.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's feeling poorly. You know what I mean?
Well, hopefully
it's
nothing serious.
And she did put a tweet out saying, "I'll be off my socials for a couple of days. Please contact my media director for any inquiries." So it sounds like she's taking a little bit of a break from social media. She has done, I think it was Busted Open Radio in the time since. But yeah, I can totally understand her frustration with the booking and the presentation of, I think, the women's division as a whole, to be honest.
It needs a bit of a zhuzh. It needs something. They need more featured time and players and excitement.
Yeah, I agree. And finally, speaking of women's divisions, Lacey Evans changing brands again.
It's like Big Show's turns. She's just
right.
She wakes up one week, she's like, I'm feeling blue this week. I'm feeling red this week.
So she was advertised all the vignettes SmackDown.
Yeah.
Then she went to Raw. Mm-hmm. People thought she did a heel turn because they did what was it stand and show your respect for Lacey Evans, and it was a weird heelish thing to do.
Yeah.
And now she's heading back to the blue brand, right? According to a report from Mike Johnson, PW Insider, she's back on SmackDown. I checked the website this morning. She's currently listed as a SmackDown superstar, but their website is tremendously out of date all the time, so I don't know if she ever made it to the Raw side of things, but she is listed currently as SmackDown. Just a very bizarre situation. You would imagine if they're putting her back there, if they're putting her back on SmackDown, that they've got something in mind for her. I don't know if that is like a women's title feud. Maybe she's going to do something with Ronda.
part of me's thinking that this might have been the plan all along, because we've had that weird period post Mania where we get that couple of months of madness over the last couple of years where they just go, oh, the brand split doesn't matter, and everybody's just kind of thrown around brand to brand. It's odd because she was like signed to the brands, but then she wound up back where she was originally supposed to be in time for, we've had all these recent reports where it's like, well, Fox wants exclusivity, guys, over certain stars, and then it's Lacey like they Evans. Want to mix things. But again, like SmackDown's women's roster could maybe use Lacey right now, so I think
maybe things have been disrupted by Sasha and Naomi and that whole situation.
I think there's stuff you can do there, and I think Lacey's somebody they can tell a very interesting story with, and it looks like they're trying to take it a bit more seriously.
But they cooled off on it a little bit, haven't they? I find it bizarre because she had like all this hype surrounding her comeback, and I think she could have been a really effective babyface, and I think they've missed their opportunity a little bit now.
Little bit. It all depends on how they go into it, right? When she arrives on SmackDown, it is a chance for a fresh start, even if we've had a couple of false fresh starts here.
Yeah.
It could be that she runs in to make a save. It could be that she cuts a promo and we know she's staying heel. It could be any number of things, but I think once she arrives this week probably, or tonight, it's going to be,
maybe
hopefully we'll see a new side to Lacey and know where they're going to take it.
That's the thing, right? Maybe again, Sasha and Naomi may have disrupted the situation, but they had long enough with Lacey that they should have had a clear plan moving forward, and I think it's clear that they didn't have that.
Yeah,
there you go. There you go. Fed bad, eh? Anyway, we'll be back with some more news throughout the day. On top of that, Sam and I streaming the entire Hell in a Cell card on WWE 2K22. Cannot wait. That's 3 p.m. I'll get the stream set up in a second so you can set a notification if you fancy joining us for that. Predictions are on the channel, and then we got all the usual coverage this weekend. So take care of yourselves. We will see you in a bit.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.